What's going on, everybody? The Original Mako back with our next edition of the Shark Scale, and today, as you can probably tell by the title, we've got Dr. Stone. Now, before we get into it, be sure you check the links down below. As always, if you want to see me live on Twitch, you can check out that Twitch link right down below. We have a ton of fun over there, and it's a super interactive and cool community to be a part of, so come check that out. I would very much appreciate it. Also, be sure you hit that subscribe button for plenty more content on future animes that I finish and or plenty of games that we're going to be playing. So there's going to be tons of content, and there's never going to be a lack of any of it. So make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single thing. Now, let's get into it, shall we? So, as I said in the previous Shark Scale video, which was on Hunter x Hunter, that was probably going to be the longest one because I had so much to say about it. This one, probably going to be not as... Okay, I'm just going to... Not as long to say hello. Oh, I have to do it. Right. Hold on. I have to do it like this. Not as long. I'm actually going to put the dot here because that's going to bother me if I don't. Because it's a little bit more not self-explanatory, but there's not as much of a gripe that I have with this anime. So... I'm excited to talk about it and share my thoughts, and then I can see what your guys' thoughts were. CSWMA. Oh, whoops. Oh, E, and then total. Boom, and we'll bold it all afterwards. So let's talk about Dr. Stone a little bit. I just finished it right now. Obviously, spoiler warning ahead. There will be spoilers. I will be talking about the show a little bit. I just finished all the way through season 2, and obviously I think season 3 is confirmed for 2023, so we have a while to wait. But let me just say I loved this anime. I think it ended on such a cliffhanger by panning to some random guy who's petrified. I think it's starting to get... I thought it was already had an intriguing storyline, and it's getting more intriguing with them going out to search for the cause of the petrification and going to try to figure out how to replicate it. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, I'm a big fan of very smart characters in anime, and usually that means... like Death Note, as an example. Death Note with L and Kira, the back and forth between those two and like a battle of wits, that intrigues me a lot. Dr. Stone is a little bit different, where it's not smart as in like outwitting and being witty and one step ahead of your, like a chess player. It's more like just a genius, which I still find really, really intriguing, and I actually was, thoroughly engaged in learning as the show went on about all this different science stuff, and I think the whole storyline was extremely interesting, and I'm very excited for the seasons going forward. There's nothing else I really need to talk about, I think, other than what we're going to discuss on the screen here. So let's just go ahead and start talking about each one of these categories. Once again, if you're new, all of these categories are ranked out of 100, and then at the end, we take the total divided by 6, and voila, we get our total score out of 100. So, starting with C, which is the characters in the story. Now, the characters, I think, are fantastic. They did such a good job of, and I find this remarkable, how well that they introduced so many side characters, but never really shied away from them. Every side character, every single character in this show that was named, every named character in this show probably had more screen time than 1010 for the entirety of Naruto. So they never shied away from showing these characters off. They all had their own personalities, their own unique quirks, their everything. They were developed in such a... It's only been 2 seasons of the show. I think the total is 34... somewhere between 32 and 35 total episodes. And all of these side characters are so unique and fun and interesting. There's no side characters I'm like, oh, God, this guy's back on screen again. I will say I do like Gen as a character, but his speaking pig Latin every sentence, he has to have at least one word where he speaks pig Latin. That got a little bit annoying at some points, but other than that, I didn't really have any gripes with any of the characters. I thought they were all interesting and fun to watch. Even I think one of my favorites was the old man who was the glass blower and craftsman of the group, who's also fucking ripped. He was super funny, and it's just so many characters that you wouldn't think would be very important were made the story interesting and fun and exciting, and just kind of got you attached to the group as a whole, attached to this whole kingdom of science. Even Tsukasa, who was the villain until the end, and he wasn't even shown for half the series, but they do so much development with him in the last 3 or 4 episodes that it's like he was there the whole time. It was really, really high quality with the characters, and in my opinion, one of the most well-written groups of characters as a whole that I have ever seen in an anime, and that's why I'm going to give the characters probably a 98. There were no massive twists until the end with any storylines. There's no like Itachi level writing for characters, but there were so many characters that were so well written that I feel like this has to be one of the best characters of all time, or one of the best groups of characters of all times. So we're going to give 98 to characters. S, the story. So everybody gets turned to stone. A couple start getting revived, and they have to figure out, who do we want to revive? The first 2 seasons kind of felt like, there were a bunch of mini arcs, but it kind of felt like one arc. Like we just got through the first arc of the Kingdom of Science versus the Kingdom of Strength, which was kind of the whole story for the first 2 seasons. I'm only going to base it off that. I'm not going to base it off where the story is going, but just what the story was for the first 2 seasons. And I thought it was pretty interesting. Kind of a miniature scale of both sides trying to outwit each other. Tsukasa was this very proud, stand up for what he believes in. He's unwavering, strong, eloquent, well-spoken guy. Against Senku, who's this kind of crazy, mad scientist type of guy who appears on the outside as a very hard and non-emotional, I don't really give a shit, it's just about science, but on the inside really cares a lot about the people around him. And watching all of that develop and seeing both sides try to get closer and closer to their goals was pretty interesting. There was nothing mind-blowing about this story. No massive twists, turns, and holy shit. It was the same kind of loop until the very end. At the end of season 2, it got, like when they actually had their fight, it turned up real quick. So that'll give it a little bit of a boost, but it was kind of just the same loop for a while, and I was totally fine with it because I loved the loop, so I was a big fan, but it was nothing like mind-blowing, nothing crazy, so we're going to go ahead and give it I'm going to give it an 80. I'd say if I was just going like a completely average story would be probably about a 75. Probably about a 70 for completely average. This was definitely above average in terms of my interest. I liked it. I love science, and I thought it was really cool to learn all that type of stuff. And there were a lot of good emotional moments in the story too, like well-written emotional moments, especially right at the end of the last episode. But even before that, there were still a few, Senku's dad, when you got to meet him and really learn about him a little bit. There was just a lot of good moments that made you feel kind of attached. Once again, it's a great shonen. It's got a good amount of action. It's got a good amount of comedy, and it has a good amount of emotional moments in it. And I think they balanced it super well. So I'll give the story an 80 for Dr. Stone. The world. Actually, you know what? After saying all that stuff, I'm going to give it an 85. The world. It's just the Earth, as there's nothing special about it. But obviously, once everything gets petrified, there's all the vegetation that grows over top of it and all this other stuff. So I think the world's gorgeous. I don't think there's anything super crazy about it. Once again, we're not on like another planet. I will say there is space involved, and there is a lot of cool things about the new world, and obviously with the whole stone, there's a bunch of different stone statues now scattered about. But I don't think inherently there's anything wild about it. I like the stone, going back to the Stone Ages, and there's not a lot of technology, so it's all just nature. Everything's natural. But once again, if I'm saying an average, completely average world would be about a 70, I'll probably give this one like a 76-ish. Nothing too crazy about the world that was developed and created. It's a pretty simple and not a lot of intricacies. The OSTs, music soundtrack, OST, the just everything, all the different sounds, music, everything. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. Once again, I think the intros and outros were pretty average. But I think the in-show OSTs, like the different sound effects and the music tracks that would play during a show were pretty good and fit the scene really well. Most animes have been. The only in-show OST I can think of that I haven't liked so far is Bleach, but Bleach is for a whole nother discussion. So nothing too crazy above the average. I'm going to give this like a 74. Like I said, it's just a little bit above average. There's nothing too crazy about it. The animation. Animations. I think it's animated beautifully. I love the animation style. I think the character design is great. Every character having unique marking, every character from the previous world, that wasn't born in the Stone Ages, having all the cracks to show that they were from, so you can distinguish between who was born in the Stone Ages and who was born in the old world, the technology advanced world, was a really cool touch to just be able to look and tell the differences. And each character who was from the old world having their own unique markings, their own unique cracks that they had in their design was really good. The fight scene was animated really well. Explosions, the constant pop in from Mecha Senku, or the wild facial expressions when they wanted to have a little comedic moment. It was really, really well done. And once again, it's not like Demon Slayer or Fate type of animations, but I will give it like an 83. Pretty above average, I think, for the most part. Huge fan of the animations, and I keep thinking about this more. I'm going to pump that to an 88. It's not up to a 90, but I keep thinking about how good it was. Overall enjoyment, this anime was right up my alley. Like I said, I think it balanced the action, comedy, and emotion so well. The fact that it had so many characters that were so well written, and in such a short time we got to learn about so many of them without hindering the story. The story kept moving forward while you're learning about these characters. It was immaculate. I loved it. I cannot wait for season 3. In terms of my recent memory, I mean, this is one of my more favorite ones that I have watched in recent times. So I'm going to give this thing a 94, almost 93, but I'm going to give it a 94 on the scale. I think that is absolutely a good place for it to be. And now we are going to total this all together and give our official ruling on what it is going to be. So let's see, we got 98, 88, 76, 74, 83, 94 out of 600. We've got an 85.5, whoopsie, out of 100. Let's go ahead and bold that, shall we? And let's see where that puts us. Whoa. What's going on here? There we go. Okay, let's try this again. Right. No, okay, that's fine. We're going to cut. And 85.5 puts us right at, let's see, 85.5, right below the Promised Neverland. Whoops. Oh, I need to do it here, don't I? Oh, geez. Hold on. Okay, there. Ah, there we go. All right, so Dr. Stone with the 85.5. I think it's once again, it was one of the most, in terms of overall enjoyment, it'd be ranked a lot higher. But I had a ton of, that's not going to work. I had a ton of fun watching it. Highly recommend if you're into shonen anime for sure. It was super entertaining, and I cannot wait for season 3. I'm real excited to see how that ends up. So, yeah, that's my shark scale on Dr. Stone. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate the support. Let me know your thoughts if you've watched it down below. Hopefully, if you got through this whole video, you've watched it, because there was a ton of spoilers. But I can't wait to see where the story goes. I'm pumped for 2023. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your day. Check those links down below. Hit the subscribe button. I should have said have a wonderful day after that, but have an even better than wonderful day. Thank you guys for the support as always. I love each and every one of your faces, and I will catch you all in the next video.